Hey everybody, in the last segment we talked about the basics of playing Magic. And in this segment we're going to zoom in a little bit and talk about combat. See, most of the time when you win a game of Magic, it's through combat, and combat is all about creatures. Now, as I mentioned before, it's easy to tell creature cards because they're the only card type with these two numbers down at the bottom. The first number is power, and that's how much damage they're going to deal in combat. The second number is toughness. That's how much damage it takes to kill them, all right? Now, creatures are pretty awesome because once you pay their mana cost, they just sit on your side of the board fighting for you until they're destroyed. So let's see what happens when I attack.
Let's pretend it's Ryan's turn. He's going to attack me.
So I tap my guys to attack.
Now I have two choices as a defender. I can choose to let the grizzly bear come through and hit me for 2 damage, or I can choose to block with my grizzly bears, in which case the 2 bears will fight. Ryan doesn't get to choose to attack a creature or to attack me. He always just has to attack me, and then I, as the defender, choose what to do. So I block. I don't have to tap the block, only attacking taps. And we look at their power and toughness and compare them. So my grizzly bear does 2 damage to his. He can only take 2. His does 2 to mine. Mine can only take 2. So both grizzly bears are discarded.
It's a bear-tastrophe. All right, so let's try it again, though, but this time I've got a different creature, a hill giant. Now, as you can see, hill giant is a lot bigger than the grizzly bear. He's got 3 power and 3 toughness. So let's see what Brandon does when I attack with him. So I go ahead and tap to attack. What do you got?
Again, 2 choices. I can take the 3 damage, or I can block with the grizzly bear. I'm going to go ahead and block again. This time they fight, and the hill giant's going to win. Hill giant's going to do 3 to my grizzly bear. It's plenty to kill him. Bear's going to do 2 back to the hill giant. Hill giant has 3 toughness, so he's going to hang around. He's fine. So my grizzly bear dies. Ryan's hill giant sticks around.
I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now, one thing you got to remember is you don't have to worry about keeping track of damage on creatures, because at the end of the turn, all the damage on him is going to evaporate. So you don't have to worry about putting beads or counters or writing this stuff down or anything like that. At the end of the turn, he's going to be good as new.
You might also be wondering what happened to that extra damage that the hill giant did. He did 3, and the grizzly bear only has 2 toughness. Well, the grizzly bear takes the entirety of the damage. I don't have to worry about any of it coming over to me.
Basically, when you block a creature, you don't have to worry about any of the damage coming from him, even if he's got like 100 power. You don't have to worry about it. Once you block him, the creature's going to take the damage, not you. So let's try that scenario again, only I'm going to be very generous and let him borrow one of my grizzly bears.
Why, thank you.
And this changes things up a little bit. I look at the table and I kind of see that he's got 2 guys to block with, but I'm going to go ahead and attack anyway and see what happens. So I go ahead and tap to attack with the hill giant.
This time I have 3 choices. Again, I can let the hill giant through, or I can block with 1 grizzly bear like I did last time, or I can block with both bears. If I block with both bears, they're both going to do their damage to the hill giant. That's 4 damage to the hill giant, plenty to kill him.
And you can split up damage any way you want, really. In this case, it doesn't matter a whole lot because I don't have enough damage to kill the blockers. I can put 2 on this guy and 1 on this guy. I could put all 3 on one of them. Since I don't have enough to kill both blockers, it doesn't really matter in this case. So I'm going to put all 3 on one of his grizzly bears, and it's an embarrassing day for the hill giant, let me tell you.
So I ended up sacrificing one of my smaller creatures for Ryan's larger ones, and I still have a creature on the board. I like what just happened.
Not a bad trade. Now let's try it again, but this time it's just the hill giant versus the grizzly bear. Now, most of the time when you're playing Magic, you can look at the table and pretty much make an educated guess as to how the combat's going to come out. And in this case, I'm going to look down here and I see that I have a 3/3 creature. He's got a 2/2 creature. I'm not too worried about this one. The thing is, though, there's a special type of card called instants. Now, we talked about these earlier. Instants are cards that you can play anytime. You can play them on your turn or your opponent's turn, all right? And they can kind of mix things up a little bit. So I look at the board in this case, and I'm feeling pretty good. I've got a 3/3, he's got a 2/2. I don't think my hill giant's going to get much opposition in this case, so I'm going to go ahead and attack.
I'm also feeling pretty good because I have a trick up my sleeve. I'm going to block with my grizzly bear like I did last time, but this time it's going to go a little better for me. I'm going to play an instant called Giant Growth. This card gives any creature on the board +3/+3. I'm going to use it on my grizzly bear. Makes it him 5/5. Hill giant and the grizzly bear fight. This time the grizzly bear owns him. 5 damage to his 3 is enough to take him way off the board. 3 damage to my 5/5 grizzly bear. He's fine.
And if getting killed by 2 grizzly bears is embarrassing for a hill giant, 1 is really, really embarrassing. It's really bad.
As an instant card, this gets discarded after use. I hang on to my grizzly bear. Ryan's got no more hill giant.
Okay, so let's talk about some special abilities. Now, a lot of creatures are going to have special abilities, and right on the card it usually explains what the special ability does. In this case, I've got the Suntail Hawk, and the Suntail Hawk, oddly enough, has a special ability called Flying. And basically, flying is a very simple ability. All it says is he can only be blocked by other creatures with flying. All right? So he's up in the air. If nothing's up in the air with him, he can't be blocked. So let's see what happens when I attack with him. Now, normally when you look at the board and you've got a 1/1 and they've got a 2/2, that's a terrible time to attack, right? But since I've got flying and he doesn't, I'm not too worried about getting blocked. So I go ahead and attack with the Suntail Hawk.
Sure. And I have no choices here. I can't block the hawk because my guy doesn't have flying. So Ryan's creature just flies over and deals 1 damage to me.
You got pecked in the head.
I did.
All right, now, one of the coolest parts of Magic is, well, I mean, every game has rules to it. But Magic, there's a ton of cards that just straight break the rules. And finding and abusing these cards is one of the funnest parts of the game. And I just happen to have a card that does that. I've got the Rootbreaker Worm. Now, as you can see here, this guy is a badass, right? He's got 6 power, 6 toughness, and he's got a special ability called Trample. Now, earlier we mentioned that when you block a creature, you don't have to worry about taking any damage from him whatsoever. Well, this guy breaks that rule. Trample says that if he can kill all his blockers, any excess damage goes straight to the opponent. So let's see what happens when I attack with a Rootbreaker Worm.
Yeah, my choices pretty much suck. I can let the worm through, I'll take 6 damage, that's a ton of damage, or I can block with my Grizzly Bears. But if I block with the Grizzly Bears, since the worm has Trample, Grizzly Bear is going to soak up 2, I'm going to take 4, still taking damage. At least the bear soaks up 2 of it, I'll go ahead and do that. I'm
feeling pretty good about that one there, because not only did I deal 4 damage to Brandon, but I got rid of his Grizzly Bears in the process. Now there's a ton of other special abilities like First Strike,
Shadow,
Vigilance, and you can find out about those as you open more booster packs and you start building your own decks. And in fact, the next segment we're going to talk about deck building, so let's check that out.
Great.